This is an absolutely wild case. At 10:30 p.m. on May 19th, 1983, the emergency room at McKenzie Willamette Hospital in Springfield, Oregon was disrupted when a woman approached the receptionist who was trying to leave for the night, urgently explaining that someone outside seriously needed help. The receptionist rushed outside and ended up finding 27-year-old Diane Downs beside her red Nissan Pulsar, and she was looking pale and desperate. Diane pointed to her car and calmly stated that her children had been shot. Immediately, a code was sent out to the hospital, but they were still unaware of exactly how serious this was. That is until they finally took a look in the back seat of the car, and it was a scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. One of the nurses picked up a little girl from the back seat. She was limp, unresponsive, and covered in blood. This was Diane's oldest, 8-year-old Christy Downs. At this point, a doctor had also rushed outside and looked into the back and found that there was a second child. He ended up pulling 3-year-old Danny into his arms. Now, amidst the chaos, that second nurse turned to rush after the nurse, the doctor, these two children, thinking that she needed to help any way she could, when Diane abruptly stopped her. To their shock, there was a third child. This was 7-year-old Cheryl Downs. Just like Christy, Cheryl was unresponsive and unmoving. She felt cold. Diane pointed out to the nurse that Cheryl hadn't moved at all since she was shot. It was a scene straight from a nightmare. All 3 children were rushed into the depths of the emergency room. All 3 of them had suffered gunshot wounds to the chest, which is the most urgent of cases. So with Diane in a stable condition and the kids being actively treated, Diane, her father, and detectives jumped in the car so that she could show them exactly where the shooting occurred. And on the way out, the ER still tense, people still checking over their shoulders for a shooter possibly hiding in the shadows, Diane paused to look at her Nissan. It was still parked in front of the hospital, and you might think, okay, she's reliving the horrid night that she saw. She sees this and goes into hysterics, but that's not at all what happened. Instead, she just looked at her car and casually said that she was so upset her brand new car was ruined, which seemed like a wildly inappropriate statement for a mother to say, something so bizarre to be concerned about when her 3 children were in the hospital fighting for their lives.